As we come together on this Shabbat to celebrate the day of rest and to welcome one another, to celebrate together in community, we do so as we begin the month of Kislev, the Hebrew month during which we celebrate Hanukkah. And I'd like to do a little something I did with the kids earlier and to share it with you as well. The Hebrew month of Kislev, we could break down those words, that word into two words, kis and lev, a pocket and a heart. And the question I asked our students as we prepared to light the Shabbat candles, there being two candles, and to think about the two things they want to lift up and illuminate for themselves on Shabbat, is to think about what can they carry, what can you carry in your pocket, and what can you carry in your heart. As you celebrate Shabbat and reflect on what it can mean, as you take what you glean from Shabbat into the week ahead, what are the things you can carry in your pocket and on your heart? And I'll give you a moment to consider for yourself what it is you'd like to carry. And then I'll share what they said. So they said that they'd like to carry in their pockets a little bit of money so that they can give tzedakah when they see an opportunity to give it. They can carry water in case they're thirsty or somebody else is thirsty, or food, but we decided a gift card to a restaurant was better than carrying food in your pocket. We can carry all kinds of things in our pockets and make sure that we have them handy and accessible to be helpful to one another. And on their hearts, they said that we should be carrying things like love and joy and family. And family came up for your pocket as well, because if you have your phone, you can call your family. You can carry your family, and you can carry all the good things. You can carry Shabbat with you. So we turn to pages 2 and 3. We lift up the things that we can carry in our pockets, the things that we can carry in our hearts. As we light the candles, I'd like to welcome forward past President Sherry Schwartz and current President Stuart Schwartz. For lack of anything, I just look up and there you are. And I'd like to invite you to light the candles as we join together at the top of page 3. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Please rise if you are able.
May the glow of these candles bring peace to the world, and the spirit of Shekinah surround us. May the blessing of our days fill our hearts with love. And Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome Shabbat, we take a moment to greet one another, and if you'd like, you might want to share what you're carrying with you on this Shabbos, and then you may be seated.
Shabbat Shalom.
You may be seated as we turn to page 20 to welcome Shabbat. Lachadodi, I believe we're singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9 as they're numbered on the page. 27. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time. Even at unlikely times and through unlikely places, there is no place on earth without the presence. As we acknowledge that on page 28, we offer our call to prayer. Baruch Hu. Page 31. We join together at the top of the page. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. And we continue in Hebrew on page 32. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadata. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbenu u'v'kumenu. Nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu, u'vahem negei yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated as we continue chanting together.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together, as our ancestors did, and they sing out in joy, and we sing as well. So we turn to page 342. Page 342.
She wove was one which sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the light. When Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised. Just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang in praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long.
As we turn back in our prayer book to page 42, the liturgy of our Shabbat service gives us an opportunity to celebrate and to recognize, to honor the blessings and the miracles, but it also reminds us that life is not full of miracles all the time, and sometimes we also need to pray for safety and protection. On page 42, grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. We join in song together.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Page 47. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. On the facing page, we begin our Amidah. If you are able to rise, please do, page 46.
Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Adonai. Adonai. Sefatai tita. Sefatai tita. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Isaac, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezras Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lechoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayim Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gilurot, Umidom Elav, Melech Nemihi tu Mechayeh, Umasniach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom yachalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Be seated. Page 53. Days pass and years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay, touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. We join together in song on page 57, and then we'll continue with silent prayer and reflection.
Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayers. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayers. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land in Zion, restored in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve. In reverence, Ritzei Adonai Elohim, may we, our Yisrael, be worthy to Tefillatan Ro'yahava Ritzei Adonai Elohim, may we, our Yisrael, be worthy to Tefillatan Ro'yahava Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land in Zion, restore in our lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve. In reverence, Ritzei Adonai Elohim, may we, our Yisrael, be worthy to Tefillatan Ro'yahava Ritzei Adonai Elohim, may we, our Yisrael, be worthy to Tefillatan Ro'yahava and our best.
May the words of our mouths, the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer, page 62.
Adonai
take the time to include in our prayers those who are in need of healing, any kind, mind, body, or spirit. As I offer these names on behalf of our community, I invite those who are with us virtually to type them in and add to them, and then we'll invite those of you who are present with us in the chapel to do so as well. This Shabbat, we particularly pray for healing for Marcia, Rubenette, Charles Yates, Branch Craig, Aaron Rosendorf, Lori Papa, Moshe Ledabor, Vicky Liz. Those names we add.
Judy Evans.
Stephanie Carr.
Monique Garcia.
Lori Mia.
And we join together in prayer and in song as we lift them up and encourage them and hope that they know that we're thinking of them and praying with and for them as well. On September 15th, 1896, the hastily built city of Crush, Texas, became the second most populous city in the state for just a few hours. By 4 p.m., 40,000 people had arrived, to this city built for just that day, twice the number of people that was expected. And at 5:10 in the evening, William George Crush climbed on his horse and rode to a spot between two locomotives. The two he'd secured for the day, steam locomotives, numbers 999 and 1001. One painted green, the other red. As Justin Franz writes about the event, at the wave of Crush's hat, the two trains began to barrel towards each other. The locomotives reached 50 miles per hour before they collided, crunching into a mass of bent steel and shattered wood before exploding. One witness described the terror in the newspaper the next day. Quote, there was a swift instance of silence, and then, as if controlled by a single impulse, both boilers exploded simultaneously, and the air was filled with flying missiles of iron and steel, varying in size from a postage stamp to half a driving wheel, end quote. A Civil War veteran who was there was quoted as saying it was more terrifying than the Battle of Gettysburg. For just $2, you could buy a ticket to see the show. And the ticket included a ride on the MKT, the Katy Railroad line, the sponsoring company who had put on the show, hoping to gin up support for riding the train following the economic depression which began in 1893. In the end, 2 people died, and at least 6 others were seriously injured by flying debris. Crush was fired that evening. And they rehired him the very next day when the railroad company realized what fun it had been for most of those in attendance. More terrifying than the Battle of Gettysburg, the single bloodiest battle of the Civil War. There is something, though, about terror and fear, worry and anxiety, and then coming out the other side of it, of course. After the fact, it is thrilling and it can be life-changing. Perhaps I was reminded of the crash at Crush, which is what it came to be called, because of the recent news about the struggles in the railroad industry. But that's not what I want to talk about this evening. What I want to talk about is about the journey along life's path. A path which may present us with challenging obstacles and even terrifying moments. Our ancestor Jacob left his home, and his mother Rebekah told him to flee for his life. She overheard Jacob's brother Esau plotting to murder him after he'd blackmailed Esau for his birthright and stolen his blessing. I'd be mad too. Jacob was pretty poorly behaved in those days. At home, he was Jacob, the younger twin who'd grasped the heel of his brother Esau as they were born. Jacob, the trickster, who couldn't consider the feelings of the other people in his family, who took what he wanted and tricked his way, stole his way to birthright and blessing. In fact, in some ways, we all find that we fall into familiar patterns and behaviors when we are with family. Many of us slide into the character we played for at least most of the first 2 decades of our lives, especially at this time of year, when visiting and spending perhaps more time than usual with them, and perhaps even in old and familiar places. But when did we find the independence to become who we were going to become? It's when we left. Do you remember when you left home for the first time, intending that it was at least intending it to be a permanent leaving? Perhaps it was for college or military service or work, not for summer camp or a sleepaway or something like that, but for adulthood. It's scary. It's terrifying. And it happens to all of us. It happens to Jacob. In this week's Parsha, we read, Jacob left Beersheba, set out for Haran. He came upon a certain place and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head, lay down on it. He had a dream. A stairway, or perhaps a ladder, was set in the ground, and its top reached to the sky, and angels of God were going up and coming down. And the eternal God was standing beside him, and God said, I am the eternal one, the God of your father Abraham and Isaac. The ground on which you are lying I will assign to you and to your offspring. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west and to the east, to the north, to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you. Wherever you go, I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Now, you might think that Jacob feels relieved, comforted. But instead, we read Jacob woke from his sleep and said, surely the eternal God is present in this place, and I did not know it. Vayira, Vayomar, Ma Norah Hamakom Hazeh. Shaken, Vayira, he said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and that is the gateway to heaven. Vayira, frightened, terrified, shaken. Here he is. He's just left home. He's all alone for the first time. And in being alone, he finally has an encounter like his father and his grandfather and their wives had, Rebecca, Sarah. Alone, he now finally finds a connection he couldn't find while dwelling in the comfort of old familiar patterns and people. As he encounters a wide open world, a path which could wind its way anywhere, literally anywhere, and one which he would have to navigate for himself. It is only then that he has that encounter and realizes the presence of holiness. And Jacob will go on to his uncle's home. There he will see what it feels like to be tricked and cheated, and will begin to understand just how much he has wronged the people he loves. For decades, he will have to consider the question we all finally consider for real once we leave home and strike out on our own. Who do I want to be? It's terrifying. But charting a course in the relative unknown waters of life always is. Only through taking the journey and bearing some responsibility for how it will go, without the protective arms of a parent or guardian. With that, only that, might we begin to realize that God was actually with us all along, though we did not know. As we walk that path, we come to see that the values we've been taught can guide us. We begin to see that the blessings of life are present. They help us through the difficult moments. No longer sheltered, we begin to feel the blistering burning of the desert sun, and that forces us to recognize the blessing of life-giving rain. As 2023 draws to a close and the Festival of Lights approaches, there are so many horrifying, terrifying, fear-inducing things happening. War and violence, hatred and destruction. We seem to be going in the wrong direction when it comes to our rights and the rights of the powerless in our country and in lands near and distant around the world. The dream we have of an Israel, of a world that is governed by compassion, justice, and kindness, feels like it is disappearing rather than becoming more solid. It is, though, in the times when we feel shaken by what we are seeing, that we must look around to look for God, that we might see God's presence in this place, though we might often fail to realize it. We aren't here in this life to see a staged train wreck. We're here to walk the path that every generation before us has walked, to see and encounter the terrifying moments and times, and to allow them to give us the opportunity to see that there is joy in the world and there is a chance a possibility for holiness, rather than merely walking from one disaster to the next. May the day soon come when each of us might more readily and easily bear witness to the presence of holiness in every moment that we encounter. And as we do the work that we are meant to do, may we know that we are not alone in doing it. Shabbat Shalom. There are blessings and joys in every moment. And on this first Shabbat of December, we particularly lift up the birthdays and the anniversaries in our community. If you are celebrating this month, I invite you to come forward, either up the steps or at the bottom of the steps if you prefer. But it would be a great joy and a blessing to all of us to lift you up and to have an opportunity to celebrate something special, if there are any December. We'll think of him as well. Okay. No birthday anniversaries? No anniversaries? Who gets married in the middle of the winter, right? Well, share with us your name and what you're celebrating.
Well, my name is Noel, and I'm celebrating 37 years around the earth on December 31st. So,
Nice.
thank you. And my son is turning 9 on the first night of Hanukkah. Yes. Yeah.
That's great, because you only that's one present for birthday and Hanukkah, right? That's it. No double
Don't work
dipping.
like that. He's going to say this.
Well, we invite you to remain up here with us as we celebrate with you and offer a blessing on your behalf and on behalf of on Derek's behalf as well. Makor Hayim, source of life, we thank you for the blessing of life, for everything that enriches our lives. And we turn to you, O God, in gratitude as we share in the happiness of those celebrating this month. God be with them now and always. May they be blessed with health and happiness and with the strength to overcome any and all of life's challenges. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, may the light of God's presence shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you know holiness in your life, and may you know peace. Happy birthday, Derek. Baruch atah Adonai mevarech hashanim. We praise you, O God, who blesses the years. As we celebrate with you, we lift up the symbol of joy and sweetness. As we turn to page 5, I invite you to please rise for Kiddush. And your sister can join too for a little juice. L'chaim. You can drink it now. We remain standing as we turn to page 282 and give Derek a moment. Page 282 for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Yeah, keep the cup.
Page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teikid l'yotzei l'reshit, shelo asanu k'vei haratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, שלא שם חלקנו לכם, וגורל עלינו כחול המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומתהלכים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
You may be seated as we turn our thoughts towards the blessing of memory. We turn to page 289. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan, yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts, and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. Mourner's Cottage can be found on page 294. If I mention the name of a loved one, I invite you to rise. We honor and remember those who died recently: Fidel Chavez, Raquel Lavis, Judith Ackerman. This anniversary week of their passing, we observe yahrzeit for Regina Alper, Ida Weiss-Barron, Marshall Berliner, Morris Bernard, Elaine Plaus Bernat, Karen Orr Birnbaum, Leonard Blagrand, Bernard M. Blumenfeld, Coleman Bonart, Moshe Yitzhak Davis, Morton Ehrlich, Isidore Elion, Romelito Escobar, Sadie Levy Feiner, Gertrude Klein Frieden, Alan J. Friedman, Annette Goldberg, Doris Goodman, Fanny Sattinger Goodman, Julius Grunbaum, Howard Harris, John Heller, Sam Hoffman, Carrie D. Horwitz, Russell Hyman, Joshua N. Khan, Siami Katz, Ustad Sultan Khan, Leah S. Krupp, Alan Labowitz, Eva B. Lepowski, Margarita Onchondo Licon, Eleanor Matthias Mayer, Joseph A. Miller, Adele A. Oppenheim, Ann Prensky, Lila Rivkin, Art Robelin, Maria Rosales, David Schechter, Jack Schechter, Evelyn Schwartz, David Sheffer, Ruth Stolaroff, Fred Strelitz, Dora S. Zolonka. Are there any names to add?
Claire Lyson.
We honor and remember them and all of those who have no one to say Kaddish for them as well as we stand together. Page 294. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon, U'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almayah, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudusha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, da'miran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories always be a blessing. As together we say, Amen. You may be seated.
Oseh shalom
This time we welcome forward Temple President Stuart Schwartz.
Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful having everybody here. I'd like to thank the Kosher Cowpoke plus Mindy for your music tonight. Very much appreciate it. To Wendy Axelrod for greeting us, for Susie Novick, a member of our board, for serving on the Bema tonight, as well as Sherry for as past president of Temple, also serving. And Rabbi, I think the watchword tonight is faith, because I had faith that somehow we would get from the crush of locomotives and the death and destruction caused by it to Torah. And we made it. So thank you so much. I had faith.
It was a little bit of a train wreck, but we got it.
I'm trying to think of something, but I can't. I'd like to thank our Shabbat sponsors, Derek, Sarah, and John Heller, in memory of John Heller. Sherry and myself in memory of Evelyn Schwartz. Eddie and Robert Treviso in memory of Ustad Sultan Khan. Fifi Heller Keim and Boris Keim in memory of John Heller. Bob and Jane Snow in memory of Evelyn Schwartz. The Zeidman family in memory of Howard Harris. And Barbara Berliner in memory of Marshall Berliner. There's so many things on our calendar. This coming Sunday, we're having a Haver Kadisha meeting at Temple at 2:30 in the afternoon. If you've ever been interested in serving on Haver Kadisha, we'd appreciate you coming and learning more about it. We'll be having a training session, and you can contact either Jack or Sherry and discuss it further with them. The Capital Improvements Committee has scheduled another opportunity on December 7th at 7 p.m. in Schwartz Hall and on Zoom to describe the ongoing process with the capital campaign, to share with you the progress it has made, and receive your feedback and ideas. There's been a lot of progress that has been made, and we're anxious to share that information with you. Next weekend, we have a musician in residence, a former El Pasoan, Josh Goldberg, will be at Temple December 9, 10, and 11. It's funded by a grant in part by Jewish El Paso. You can RSVP for Saturday brunch following the Sol Shabbat service, and Sunday during religious school, there will be a family Hanukkah event, and you're invited to that as well. Coming up on December 17th, a volunteer appreciation party in Havdalah, and our annual Chinese Shabbat dinner on December 21st, and of course, the all-famous vodka and latkes on December 22nd. So much going on. Don't forget the Matzah Ball Gala, 24th, excuse me. RSVPs by the 22nd. Thank you. The third annual Matzah Ball Gala is scheduled for January 14th at 5:30, and you can buy your matzah ball, your ping pong balls now, David, or not yet?
Starting probably Monday, everything will be live.
Okay, so starting Monday, everything will be live for that.
If you want to reserve some tonight.
Talk to David. Talk to David. And finally, on December 24th at 6 p.m., there'll be a live streaming concert with Hadar, featuring her new album, Witchcraft, the Jewish Women of the Great American Songbook. You must RSVP to receive the Zoom credentials by December 22nd. Wishing you all a wonderful Shabbat.
We'll conclude on page 341 as we join together in song with a blessing, seeking joy, seeking safety, seeking protection, seeking blessing as we go on our way, as we go on our journey from this place and in general on our journey of life. On page 341, I invite you to join with us in song, and please rise if you're able.
You shall be
Okay, so one final announcement. I'd be amiss if I didn't thank the Glazer family for the beautiful onik tonight. Thank you very much for the brisket and potato salad. It was wonderful. We appreciate it very much.
And please join us in Zalanka Hall for Kiddush and Motzi, and Shabbat Shalom.